Okay, welcome to another video, and today I'm going to relook at the year 1989. I previously did a ranking top 10 video for 1989, but I never actually published it on YouTube, although I did do a number of short videos on albums from that year. So there was an absence really of a ranking video. So I'm going to take it on board now, but it's going to be slightly different. I'm not going to just go through 10 to 1 with brief comments. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do maybe 3 videos covering the 10 that I'm going to select, but I'm not going to rank them 10, 9, 8. I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and they're going to be much more extensive reviews of those selections, including obviously track listings, details on personnel, and references to lyric as well, where appropriate. So let's get started, and the first one that I want to do is the album Protest Songs by the band, the Newcastle band, Prefab Sprout. It was in fact their 4th release, although it was actually recorded after Steve McQueen, which was their 2nd release, but the record company weren't too happy with it. They felt it was a little bit, it wouldn't actually sell that much, so it was sort of shelved, and From Langley Park to Memphis was released. And that was recorded after Protest Songs. But then after the huge success of Langley Park to Memphis, the record company decided to relent to McAloon's desire to release Protest Songs. And McAloon saw it very much as a sort of companion piece, really, to Steve McQueen. So, named Protest Songs because the songs, though not overtly political, generally related to problems of general existence, daily existence. And McAloon commented ahead of the album's release that they're not strictly protest songs, he said, as Dylan or Billy Bragg would recognise them, but somewhere they are in that field. Several of the album's songs also, including Dublin, Wicked Things and Pearly Gates, contained references to God and religious imagery, which was to become common in Prefab Sprout's work. Paddy McAloon is from a Catholic background, and so that possibly had something to do with it. But I'm not, I haven't got any interview with Paddy, so to confirm that. So anyway, that's the intro to this album, and we're now going to get on to the track list. So here's the track list then. Opens up with The World Awake, which cartwheels across your living room. The kind of tune that makes you want to jump for joy and buy the world a drink. Its chords dangle in the air like a string of pearls. Track 2 was Life of Surprises, described as a philosophical vein behind the ups and downs of running light soul sounds. Dublin is track 3, which features only McAloon accompanying himself on acoustic guitar, and it's about the troubles in Ireland, on the island of Ireland, including the Republic and Northern Ireland. And later on I will be reading the lyric to that when I conclude this track list. Dublin comes up next. Tiffany's is next, and it's among the earliest written by Sprout, dating right back to their formation in 1977. And it's about a Newcastle nightclub called Tiffany's, described by McAloon as very seedy. quite a contrast to the Tiffany's that we've got here in Thailand, which is a sort of nightclub cabaret where we get a show by the how can we put it, the ladies of the night, even though they are male. Anyway, I'm sidetracking a little bit. The song was included frequently in the band's set list in the years that led up to this recording. And then we have the track titled Diana, written in 1982, a regular number on their set list as well. It's about, of course, the Princess of Wales, Diana, Princess of Wales. McAloon elaborated in an '84 interview that it was really about the Daily Mail's way of attacking constantly Diana, how they wrote about her, and the burden that she had in carrying out her royal duties. Next up is Talking Scarlet, which concerns forbidden lust. Some of this information I actually got from a series of reviews that I read. No apologies for that, because I want you to have a good experience listening to this video. It lends its name to the band's official fan club newsletter as well. Till the Cows Come Home is about a provincial place, a little bit possibly like Dublin. McAloon felt the song should have actually turned up on Steve McQueen, but there was such a quality to that selection that it was put on the back burner, so to speak. And a reviewer described the album and this song reflecting darkly on the impoverished Northeast, which of course is where McAloon came from, Newcastle. The closer is Pearly Gates, and it's got obvious religious connotations, goes to places where most pop records never go. Strangely moving with all the emotive power of a hymn, really, from school days. The song described as a precursor to the final tracks on the band's next album, Jordan the Comeback, and it contained comments and themes including mortality, religion, and the afterlife. Okay, so that's a bit of a summary, a lengthy one, of the track list. Okay, as promised now, I'm going to give you the total lyric from the song Dublin, and I will also include a slide of the lyric for Diana, which you can peruse at your leisure. But I'm going to read this lyric out, so let's get started on it. Who does not adore the sound of music in the name of towns? To build a city on such picturesque ground, that takes some sort of flair. We draw a line, the ink is fear. You stay that side, we'll stay here. It's far harder to keep it up than to tear it down. Does it take you back to the kind of world hindsight calls the good old days? Now that there's no room in an Einstein world for simple cause and effect. Dublin, Dublin, home of pretty Colleens. Dublin, Dublin, nurse of such bitter dreams. Behind the softened peachy skin, where DNA or God begin, where sub-Gaelic rot sets in, with stories from your mother in myths and less exalted forms. The heady cocktail glory is born. You know it's not a bottled storm, sorry. And so why do you indulge it? Dublin, Dublin, home of pretty Colleens, Dublin, Dublin. Okay, now apologies for the camera, and it's clear that I am reading, but you get the slide up there so you can ignore my drawing and just read it for yourself. And of course, there will be another slide for Diana, and I'm also including a full track list to remind you of my comments on that, and also the personnel involved in the making of this record. So I hope you enjoyed it. That's my number 10. It's Protest Songs from the great Prefab Sprout. My number 9 selection from 1989. And this might surprise a few. I've chosen the album New York by Lou Reed. Now, I must confess, I'm not a great fan of Lou Reed. I did delve into the Velvet Underground back in the late 60s, and with varying results. Let's be honest. They weren't my number one choice. Transformer was obviously an impressive piece of work, but after that I really left him alone, really. It was his vocal delivery and that sort of New York punk type sound that I couldn't quite get my teeth into. Things have changed then. New York City, very prominent in Lou Reed's music career, his influences. And finally got to make an album simply called New York, a set of 14 scenes and sketches of real life that Lou saw and felt. It's 57 minutes. It's full of striking lyrics that hit at the beautiful, decaying heart of New York City. He touches on the impact of AIDS in Halloween Parade, the vicious cycle of child abuse on Endless Cycle, and the plight of the homeless in Xmas in February. And the songs, he delivers his own political opinions, not surprising really from Lou, without being preachy though. Reed always sort of looks into his own life, and he's adept using humour, and he's got a perception that's admirable. Beginning of a Great Adventure is a witty comment on being a parent, for example, and other songs dip into corruption, racial violence and drugs. On Dirty Boulevard, Lou explores the story of a Hispanic child growing up in a welfare hotel. And Good Evening Mr. Waldheim, a reference to the United Nations Secretary General at the time, and he's referring to a lecture by Jesse Jackson about his Common Ground speech, which he delivered at the Democratic National Convention in 1988. His views about the PLO were interpreted by some as being anti-Jewish, and Lou probably in that number. The Last, a Great American Whale. Well, is it about hatred of people's actions or just the hatred of people? And finally, Reed's work with guitarist Mike Rafka was very easy on the ear for me. Reed's guitar work was impressive. Velvet Underground drummer Maureen Tucker plays on 2 tracks, and Dion takes a splendid vocal turn on Dirty Boulevard. Listen to the sound of the 80s emerging into the 90s in this city of dreams. That's what I took from it. New York's a bit of a masterpiece, really, of literate adult rock and roll, and I believe the finest album in Reed's solo career. That, of course, is my opinion. So, I'm going to get on to the tracks now and have a little look at some of the instrumentation. So the opener then is Romeo Had Juliet. There's some edgy guitar throughout this track. Halloween Parade is up next. Very much a collection of characters of those present in fact and mind that were around New York in the late 80s. It's got a nice gentle tempo and some nice harmonies at the outro. Dirty Boulevard's up next. Spoken word by Lou. This style knits very well with the off-key guitar lead. Track 5, I mentioned 4, Endless Cycle, but track 5, There's No Time. This is a fast, punkish type rocker with a lot of distorted guitar. Last, a Great American Whale is 6, but I'll move on to 7, Beginning of a Great Adventure. Some intricate jazz
picking style guitar, which is extended, and it's of course an adventure about parenting. Busload of Faith, track 8, is a very sleazy beat, and Sick of You up next has a honky rhythm that explores comedically about politics, foreign policy, environmental horrors, and the US's input or lack of. John Cale's guitar work, JJ Cale's guitar work comes to mind a little bit. Track 11, as referred, Good Evening Mr. Waldheim, got a punchy beat which accompanies Lou's drawl. Great contrast of the two guitar styles here meshed together early on. A bit jam-like and a trifle too long, but still impressive. Track 12, Xmas in February, is a bit of a lament and refers to Vietnam Army vets. Strawman, the penultimate, wealth excesses is covered here by Rue, plus the plight of those without. The guitar reminded me a bit of Tom Verlaine, the television guitarist, a bit slowed down. And finally, the last track, Dime Store Mystery. Strings appear on the outro here, but there's a lot of warped lead guitar, and he touches on religion on this track. So there we have it. A great album, number 9, New York, by Lou Reed. Get to listen to it, and of course there will be links in the description to this video of all the albums that I've covered, and I'm probably going to do one more. Okay, my final choice on this particular video for 1989, my best of, is one that I put to number 7, although I did play around with the idea of it going straight to number 1, but I really enjoyed this album when I revisited it a couple of weeks ago. It's called The Road to Hell, and it's by Chris Rea. I hadn't really had much to do with this artist prior to this album, but I got into it and then I neglected it, and now as I'm doing this sort of top 10 style set of videos, it's come back to me with a vengeance. We got blues rock, country rock, soft rock and pop rock here, and it's definitely a guitarist's paradise. Throughout the album there are repeated references to increased societal dissolution and rising violence, including riots, murder, and their irresponsible depiction on television news. You must be evil is an example, and the perverted fear of violence on city streets, which we hear on The Road to Hell Part 2, and I'll mention the video in a bit. It's all gone crazy amid fears that someone's going to get killed out there. That's Rea's vocal, of course, on Texas. Rea also targets his industrial polluters, the destruction of rivers which boil with poison, and Thatcherism. He doesn't miss a beat on this. She's criticised on the Shamrock Diaries Steel River, dismissing notions of an upwardly mobile freeway, or that promises will be delivered on That's What They Always Say. And a sense of suffocating doom suffices the title track. Rea cries out, "We got to get out of here," on Texas, and "I'm getting out" on that. That's What They Always Say, and struggles to find an escape in Texas and looking for a rainbow. A prominent theme is the impact all of this is having on his daughter, and I read about this in a review, and I've used quite a bit of it on this because it sums up the record perfectly. His daughter was only 6 at the time of this release, and it sort of does have an impact on the future and how it concerns him about his daughter's future. Okay, the title only really hints at the horror that lurks in this album's message. Texas looking for a rainbow and you must be evil pick apart the atrocities, and Daytona offers us a little bit of mild relief, releasing the tension. It's a modern masterpiece, this album, and in the description you will see the video link to the title track, The Road to Hell Part 1 and 2, and I've also included a link to this song being part of the trailer, or part of the film anyway, Natural Born Killers, which was an Oliver Stone movie at around the time. So, well, also there will be links to the audio, of course. So that's it. I'm going to move on to the track listing now. Okay, the tracks. The Road to Hell Part 1, which is a gospel blues. It really opens with a very low tone, reminiscent almost of some horror movies you may have seen. The scores, of course, to those movies. The audible sound appears to be possibly a broadcast on radio, or it creates a suspense and a fear. The voices are a bit unintelligible, but they lead to the riff that spells a classy single, a bit of a road trip never to forget. And I noticed on the review that the reviewer referred to a song by a group called Rammstein called Heret Mitch, and I've got a link to that, and he suggested that this was comparable. I'm not too sure about that, but I couldn't see the significance, but listen to it and make up your own mind. So The Road to Hell Part 2, Rhea's voice then kicks in after the intro. His voice is clear and crisp, and there's a faint strings in the background. It's got atmospheric synth beats, and it's got that sharp sounding guitar tone, very distinctive, Chris Rea, and it's got a catchy pop style drum beat as well, and there's some classical piano added in, which again hints at horror. Rhea's vocals make this song dark, harsh and haunting, and the lyrics on this are very powerful. Note, and I quote, "And the perverted fear of violence chokes a smile on every face." One critic raved about the similarity to Leonard Cohen's lyrical darkness on songs like The Future and First We Take Manhattan, and both of those songs I'm very impressed, and I actually reminding myself of them, and it's maybe useful for you to do the same. If you're a fan of Leonco's late 80s stuff, early 90s, you'll hear that really cool sounding dark song that The Future brings about. And anyway, the videos to that song is a pretty similar looking to the video from Natural Born Killers, and there's some sped up sections of traffic intercut with dark domestic scenes, which I think are very poignant. So check it out. It's definitely got my approval. Next up is You Must Be Evil. Chillingly hypnotic, this one. Atrocity within modern society, with that magical recurring guitar riff repeating the garbage metaphorically. Garbage, not garbage, same thing really. Oh, okay, yeah. And then we move on to Texas, which is 5 minutes, and it references mass shootings and gun ownership. Oh, there's a surprise. And fanaticism by these shooters, and the lazy, slovenly naivety that exists within the United States. And the beat has that raunchy blues guitar style, and the solos reminded me a little bit of some of ZZ Top. Eat Your Heart Out. So there we are. That's the first section on the track listing. It's going to continue, so stay tuned. Now the video's getting a bit long, so I won't go into every track, but I am going to refer to Looking for a Rainbow. Well, rainbows, you read into them happiness, safety, and it's a terrific sort of song. The harmonies are exquisite. I referenced earlier the daughter, and possibly this is Chris pointing the way forward to give the child some sort of feeling of joy, and the rhythm is driven hard. Ray opens his shoulders up here with some sparkling rock guitar. It's a great track for foot tapping, and that exquisite guitar and harmony vocals really creates a sort of ray of hope, really, amidst the vile urban landscape, seeking out an escape. The last one I want to talk about, because I'm skipping You Warm and Tender Love, was Daytona. Daytona, of course, is the place where they have the motorcycle race and the the IndyCar race. American. My knowledge of American sport is limited. Anyway, it's very much a road song, special road for daredevils risking all for the prize of winning, and got a nice intro. The piano sets up a gentle paced country love song. It's got references to the woman, the racing car you choose, and there are some car noises at the outro. Daytona 500, that's right. I do remember glimpsing it for a while, but getting bored after 5 minutes, because they just go round and round this IndyCar circuit. Not really like Formula One. Anyway, I digress. That's my review then of the number 7 slot for 1989. It's The Road to Hell, and it's by Chris Rea. Really get to listen to this and get those links in the description going, and you really will get a full package. Okay, that's it.